There are souls among us who do not fully belong to the light, nor are they consumed by the dark. They are the rare few who walk the razor's edge between both realms, not as a mistake, not as a compromise, but as a divine design. These are the dual chosen ones. They are not your typical empaths or light workers, nor are they chaotic agents of shadow. They are the bridge, the threshold, the sacred paradox. And if you've ever felt torn between your highest wisdom and your deepest wounds, if you felt the pull to bring peace but also the fire to bring truth even when it burns, then maybe, just maybe, you are one of us. From the moment we are born, we sense the battle raging around us and within us. We're not shielded from the darkness like others. We're exposed to it early. We feel it in the family dysfunction, in the betrayal, in the inner chaos. But instead of being consumed by it, we study it. We learn its language. We recognize its tricks, not because we are of the darkness, but because we must know it intimately in order to transcend it. That's the first sign of a dual chosen one. We are initiated through shadow, not to be destroyed by it, but to inherit the codes hidden within it. Pain is not our enemy. It is our training ground. And yet, we are not defined by pain. We carry light with a depth that's terrifying to those who have never suffered. Our compassion isn't shallow. It's forged in fire. When we love with eyes wide open, we've seen the worst in people and still choose to believe in their potential. We've witnessed cruelty and still choose kindness. That's not naivety. That's power. That's the sacred rebellion of the dual chosen one. To carry light without denying shadow. To say, yes, I've seen the darkness. I've walked through it. And I still choose to shine. But here's where it gets complicated. Dual chosen ones are often misunderstood even in spiritual circles. We don't always speak in gentle tones. We don't always fit the mold of the high vibrational being. Sometimes our truth sounds like thunder. Sometimes our presence triggers people. Why? Because we carry mirror energy. We reflect whatever someone is hiding. If you're lying to yourself, being near a dual chosen one will feel uncomfortable. Not because we judge you, but because our frequency exposes what's unhealed. That's the second sign. We are catalysts. We disrupt illusions, not to harm, but to awaken. And this awakening doesn't come through sermons or soft affirmations. It comes through raw presence, through confrontation, through sacred discomfort. We don't speak truth to be liked, we speak it because we must, even when our voice shakes, even when it costs us relationships, even when we are labeled intense, dramatic, or too much, because we know something most people don't. That real love isn't always sweet. Sometimes it's fierce, sometimes it burns, and sometimes the only way to heal is to break the illusion first. This is why dual chosen ones rarely have easy lives. We carry the codes of transformation, and transformation is messy. We're not here to build temples of comfort, we're here to light fires that burn away the false. And that means we often walk alone, not because we are unworthy of connection, but because our energy is surgical. It cuts through masks. It sees through manipulation. It senses intention like a scent in the air. And that level of perception makes shallow relationships unbearable. Let me ask you something that may shake you. Have you ever felt like you were too light for the dark and too dark for the light? Like you didn't belong in either world fully? That you understood angels but also demons? That you could hold space for someone's divinity but also name their shadow without fear? If so, you are not broken. You are not conflicted. You are a dual chosen one. You were born to hold polarity in your hands like sacred clay and shape something new from it. We are the architects of the next world, because only those who've walked through both realms can design a path that leads beyond them. We don't escape duality, we master it. We don't suppress our shadow, we integrate it. We don't worship the light, we embody it through our wounds. And that's what makes us dangerous to systems built on fear. We cannot be controlled by shame. We cannot be manipulated by guilt, because we've already faced our darkness. We've already met our demons and made peace. And that's the third sign, peace in paradox. While others seek clarity in absolutes, we thrive in mystery. While others choose sides light or dark, good or bad, right or wrong, we see the truth in both. We don't need to be positive all the time. We don't need to pretend everything is love and light. We know that sometimes love looks like a boundary. Sometimes light looks like rage. Sometimes healing looks like screaming into the void until the lie leaves your throat. We are not afraid of our own power, but we are careful with it, because we've seen what happens when power is used unconsciously. We've seen what happens when people chase light to avoid their pain, or embrace darkness to reject their shame. We've lived both, and now we walk the line, not as victims, not as warriors, but as bridges, between heaven and hell, between shadow and soul, between what was and what could be. So the next time you feel torn, unstable, or like you're too much for this world, remember, you're not meant to choose one side. You're meant to hold both, to be the place where opposites meet, to be the storm and the stillness, the fire and the water, the wound and the medicine. That is the path of the dual chosen one, and it is not easy, but it is sacred.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Every era of transformation is marked not by the loudest, but by the rarest. Not by those who conform, but by those who carry the codes of chaos and clarity in equal measure. The sacred rebels. The ones who do not fit cleanly into the lightworker archetype or fully into the shadow path, but instead challenge both. If you are a dual chosen one, you are not here to walk a path that already exists. You are here to carve one where none have dared walk before. Your very existence is disruptive to systems built on polarity, because you embody the third path, the path of integration. And this is what makes you one of the hidden architects of human evolution. You see, humanity has long been addicted to extremes. We glorify purity and demonize darkness. We romanticize the light and suppress the shadow. But as long as we cling to that binary, we remain stuck in cycles of guilt, shame, and spiritual bypassing. Dual chosen ones are encoded to disrupt this. We're not here to pick a side. We're here to evolve the entire framework. We don't fit in because we're designed to create what doesn't exist yet. That discomfort you feel, that sense of being too much, too intense, too contradictory, that's not dysfunction. That's evolutionary pressure. You're being shaped into a new kind of human one that doesn't fear darkness but alchemizes it. So many of us were born into families that couldn't understand us. We were the black sheep, the ones who asked too many questions, the ones who couldn't keep their mouth shut when something felt off. We were punished for our perception, not because we were wrong, but because we were right too soon. That's the fourth sign of the dual chosen one. We carry a frequency that the world isn't ready for, and yet desperately needs. We see through lies even when they're beautifully spoken. We feel truth even when it's buried under years of conditioning. And because of that, we've become mirrors for collective discomfort. But here's the secret power hidden in that discomfort. Disruption is the beginning of transformation. Every ancient system, every spiritual awakening, every revolution started with someone who refused to accept the world as it was. Who refused to numb themselves into silence? Who said, no, this isn't true, this isn't love, this isn't real. And that's what you're here to do, not just for others, but for yourself. You are the sacred rebel with divine permission to question everything, including the very structures that pretend to be holy. And yet, you do this work not from ego, but from love. That's what separates the dual chosen one from the self-destructive rebel. We are not here to burn it all down, we are here to burn away the illusion. We know that real change doesn't come from hate, but from radical truth-telling. We know that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say the thing no one else wants to say. Sometimes healing doesn't sound like a lullaby. It sounds like thunder cracking open the silence. Let me ask you a question you've probably never said aloud. What if your resistance to the world isn't rebellion, it's remembrance? What if the reason you can't accept the surface-level answers is because your soul remembers something deeper, What if your fire isn't anger, it's activation? What if your chaos isn't destruction, it's creation in disguise? This is what the world doesn't see, that every time you question the narrative, every time you refuse to shrink, every time you break down and rebuild, you're not losing yourself, you're returning to your original coding. The blueprint before the trauma, the essence before the programming, and in doing so you become a living transmission for others to do the same. You don't have to preach. You don't have to convert. You just have to be raw, real, awake, and willing to walk through fire without forgetting your light. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be sacred. You are not here to be understood. You are here to awaken. You are not here to play small in the name of love. You are here to embody a love so fierce it burns through illusion itself. You are a sacred rebel, not by accident, by cosmic design. There is a hidden road that few ever find, let alone walk. It is not paved with gold or lined with praise. It does not promise comfort, clarity, or constant affirmation. Instead, it offers something far more sacred: transmutation. And those who walk this path, the middle path between light and dark, are not just wanderers. They are spiritual alchemists. They are the dual chosen ones who have been entrusted with the ancient, near-forgotten art of turning pain into power, shadow into wisdom, and chaos into clarity. We are not here to escape duality. We are here to embody it, to anchor it, to reveal what happens when you stop running from yourself and start integrating every piece. To become a master of the middle path, you must first surrender the illusion that you must be one thing or the other. You are not here to be purely light, nor are you meant to drown in darkness. Your soul was never coded for extremes. It was designed to hold the tension of opposites, to live in the liminal, to breathe in paradox until it becomes peace. That is what transmutation really is: not the elimination of shadow, but the unification of it with light. Not the denial of your rage, fear, lust, or grief, but the transformation of them into fuel for awakening. And yet, this journey is not romantic. It is raw. It is relentless. Because to hold both light and dark within you is to be constantly stretched between expansion and contraction. You will be praised one moment and rejected the next. You will feel called to speak when silence is expected, and to be silent when the world demands noise. You will lose friends. You will lose friends. You will outgrow identities. You will die many small deaths just to keep living in alignment, and you will be tempted countless times to choose a side, to settle, to simplify. But every time you do, part of your power dissolves, because your gift lies not in choosing, but in holding the grief and the grace, holding the divine and the human, holding the trauma and the triumph, holding the shame and the sovereignty. It takes unimaginable strength to do this. Not the kind of strength that flexes in the face of adversity, but the kind that stays open when the world demands you shut down. The kind that keeps loving even when it's safer to harden. The kind that says, yes, I feel it all, and I'm still here. That is what makes you a living portal. Because when people encounter you, they don't just meet a person, they meet permission. Permission to feel. Permission to be messy. Permission to stop pretending. Permission to be whole. Have you ever noticed that people break down around you? That they reveal things they've never told anyone? That your presence alone seems to unlock something ancient in them? That's not coincidence. That's frequency. You are carrying a vibration that disrupts the false self and invites the soul to the surface, not through force, through resonance. You're not here to fix people, you're here to mirror them back to themselves. And that's the fifth sign of the dual chosen one. We are walking activations, not because we have all the answers, but because we live the questions out loud. But make no mistake, this doesn't make life easier. It makes it realer. You'll go through cycles where everything falls apart, just so you can rebuild with more integrity. You'll be asked to let go of things you love, not because they're bad, but because they're too small for your next evolution. You'll feel like you're constantly being emptied, only to discover that the emptiness is holy. It's the space where the sacred enters, It's the silence where the soul speaks. Let me ask you something only your higher self can answer. What if your inner chaos isn't a mistake but a map? What if the turbulence you feel isn't a sign of failure, but a sign that you're breaking open to a deeper truth? What if every contradiction within you is not a conflict to resolve but a door to a higher dimension of being? Because here's the hidden gift of the middle path. It doesn't take you to a place of balance, it makes you the balance. You become the still point in the storm, the eye in the hurricane, the sacred pause between inhale and exhale. And from that place you don't just heal, you transmit healing. You don't just find peace, you radiate it. You don't just awaken, you awaken others without even trying. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be a living mystery, a sacred contradiction, a reminder that God doesn't fit in boxes and neither do you. You are the place where shadow and light meet, and instead of destroying each other, they dance. There is a point on this path where the roles fall away. The labels empath, healer, rebel, seer become too small to contain what you are becoming. You feel it not as a moment of clarity, but as a quiet unraveling. You are no longer simply walking between light and dark, you are the bridge. You are not just a soul navigating duality. You are the meeting point where heaven kisses earth, where shadow kneels to be seen, and where light humbles itself to learn. This is the final initiation of the dual chosen one, not to choose a side, but to embody both completely and belong to neither. At this stage, you no longer fear the chaos. You no longer resist the stillness. You understand that what breaks others does not break you, it breaks you open. There is no enemy. Only unintegrated energy. There is no savior, only remembrance. You begin to see that your greatest power has never been in your ability to heal others, but in your ability to hold presence so powerfully that others begin to remember who they are. You are not here to lead in the traditional sense. You are here to anchor frequency. You are here to transmit truth without needing to prove it. This is why many dual chosen ones are misunderstood until much later in life. Your wisdom often arrives before your language can express it. You carry codes that only unlock through lived experience. And so, life has to shape you in extreme ways. The betrayals, the losses, the initiations, they weren't punishments. They were preparations. You are being taught not just about love, but about unconditional love. Not just about truth, but about embodied truth. Not just about energy, but about how to live as energy in form. You become a bridge, not because you asked for it, but because you survived both realms. You've danced in the light and not been blinded. You've sat in the dark and not become bitter. That's what gives your presence weight. It's not your words, it's your being. When you enter a room, you carry the silence of sacred places. When you speak, you carry the thunder of ancient truths. And when you love, with a fire that cleanses and a calm that heals. But this final initiation comes with its own cost. You are no longer allowed to lie to yourself. You cannot hide in spiritual ego or intellectual arrogance. The universe will strip you again and again, not because you're failing, but because you're being refined into a vessel that can hold more than just your own story. You are being emptied so you can become a mirror of the collective. You feel others' grief because you've healed your own. You sense the collective fear because you've walked through it. You carry the ache of humanity in your bones, not because you are cursed, but because you are chosen to help alchemize it. Let me leave you with a question that may echo in your soul for years. What if your entire life has been a sacred initiation to become the doorway through which others remember God within themselves? What if your pain wasn't just for your healing, but for your becoming? What if you are not meant to escape the world or fix it, but to remind it of what is real, simply by becoming fully, unapologetically yourself? Because when you truly walk this path, you don't just talk about unity, you embody it. You don't just believe in transformation, you become it. You don't just walk between worlds, you weave them together through your presence. You, the dual chosen one, are not here to be saved or celebrated. You are here to be sovereign, to be the storm and the stillness, to be the wound and the wisdom, to be the question and the answer, to be the bridge. And now that you remember who you are, walk forward. not to be understood, but to awaken, not to teach, but to become. And in your becoming, the world will remember